has rolled around yet again, which means it is time for another installment of Friday Q&A. And I want to thank all of you legends out there for submitting questions for this week's Q&A. Hope you've all had a great week as well. We're getting very, very close to Christmas and the overall festive season. And we're getting very, very close to 150 Q&A videos. In fact, I think next week's Q&A is going to be number 150. So ask all the questions you've ever wanted to ask for the 150th Q&A in the comment section below. If you want to support the channel, there are links to my Patreon and the music I make with my band Ragdoll in the video description. Let's do this week's questions. Speaking of Christmas, what is on my Christmas wish list? You know, I have lots and lots of toys. I'm very, very fortunate in that regard. So I don't really wish for toys for Christmas too much anymore. To me, it's just a really nice, quiet time of year. And because we're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's summer. So what I'm really, really hoping for on Christmas is that, you know, it's nice and warm, not too warm though, just warm enough so that I can go to the beach for a little bit with my wife and we can kind of hang out and then cook some food, spend some time with family, and just fall into that wonderful state that you enter when you've eaten too much food on Christmas and the week after Christmas and between the new year just becomes this kind of hazy blur. I don't have any gigs until our New Year's Eve show, which if you're in Perth, Ragdoll are playing down at the Quindanning Inn. Awesome old school hotel for New Year's Eve. So a little plug there, but yeah, what's everybody else hoping for Christmas? Let me know in the comment section below. Speaking of which, yes, it is summer down here. I live in Australia and you know, the toilets flush backwards and the seasons are the other way round. So we are reaching peak summer pretty soon. Last week was unbelievably warm and I was away on Barrow Island for a show, and while I was away it was like 40 degrees Celsius back here and the power went out and then the air conditioner was spitting out water and my car broke down because of the heat. It was just one of those things. So I was away, but my wife had to put up with all of that. So coming home, I kind of felt bad because I'd spent most of my time away just kind of splashing around in a pool. Whereas, yeah, she was suffering through the heat, but there's going to be plenty more heat this summer for us all to suffer through. So, yeah, maybe I shouldn't feel that bad. But yeah, upside down, the toilets go backwards and none of us can pronounce any words properly. What's my opinion of tribute and revival style bands, particularly the really good ones? For example, there's the Australian Pink Floyd show, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. And I feel like most countries or most major cities probably have at least an AC/DC tribute band. There's certainly more than one of those in Perth. Something like a Guns N' Roses tribute band or a Queen tribute band, all those kind of things. So I have done the one-off tribute thing before. I've done a couple of different Whitesnake tribute bands with different lineups, which has been really fun. About a decade ago, me and some of my buddies did a night of Skid Row tunes. So I really personally like doing that, where maybe you play an entire album by a particular band as a one-off. It is just a lot of time and effort to devote to a one-off kind of show. So it doesn't happen that much, but you know, I know plenty of friends who play in tribute bands for different sort of bands, and especially in Perth, because at the moment, you know, there's no COVID here, so you can go out and you can gig and you can travel around the state if that's something you want to do. There's plenty of shows available, and I feel like, especially in WA, tribute bands are kind of ruling the roost now, and they are really raking it in. And there's some really, really good ones. So, you know, good music is good music, and it takes a lot of skill and effort and dedication to learn those songs. I think personally for me, while I don't mind that kind of thing, I barely have enough time in the day to kind of do the stuff that I want to do, let alone the music I want to play. So I don't think it's a thing of like, oh, tribute bands are bad because they're not playing their own music, or original bands are bad because they're not making money. It's just go and do whatever you want to do. If you're having fun playing music, I think if you're in an original band and you're not having fun doing it and you're just grinding it out for no reason, well, that can be just as pointless as somebody just playing a tribute band that they're not really invested in. You know, they don't love the music or anything like that. They're just kind of doing it for a pay packet. But yeah, who am I to just kind of sit here and judge? Anyway, there's some really good tribute bands out there. There will be more. I'm sure Kiss eventually will be their own tribute band with no original members. So would anybody go and see that? Maybe I would go and see that. Like the official Kiss tribute to Kiss. That's like the most Kiss thing ever. How many vids do I have on the channel? I don't know. I stopped counting quite a long time ago. And, you know, I told myself a couple of years ago, maybe I'll try and do a video every single day, just for this 1 year. That'll be the challenge. And then every year rolls around and I say to myself, you need to just scale back to maybe 3 or 4 videos a week. And by the end of January, I'm back on the horse. So I actually kind of like this as part of my everyday workflow where I turn the camera on and I just start talking to all of you out there. It doesn't feel like I'm talking to a camera. It feels like I'm talking to people. So that's the amazing thing about the internet. So yeah, I'm sure it's well over 15 or 1600 videos, maybe pushing 2000 at this stage, which is a little bit terrifying. Failure, the band, and Ken Andrews. Am I a fan? I'm a fan of both. I was introduced to Failure by a friend of the channel, Justin York of York Audio fame. Go and check out Justin's cabinet impulse responses if you want some amazing sounding IRs. Justin is a super cool dude as well. But he introduced me to Failure. I'd never heard of them. And yeah, the album Fantastic Planet is a fantastic album. The brand new album that they've got coming out, I was just listening to the song Submarine the other day, and it's fantastic. And Ken's YouTube channel might be, if it's not my favorite YouTube channel out there at the moment, it's easily top 5, possibly top 3. I just love the approach they take to making the videos and explaining things. And go and watch Ken's like studio, I guess it's not a studio tour, it's more like a studio desk tour, and just everything is so on the money there. It's such a sort of like common sense approach to making music. And yeah, Ken is somebody that I have an insane amount of respect for and somebody who is very, very inspiring. And you should all go and listen to some Failure this weekend. How would I go about getting boogie style tones out of something like the Cherrytone AH100? Well, that amp has an effects loop, which is cool. And, you know, much like my cat scratching itself and making a bunch of noise is totally cool with me because I love my cat and I love my Marshall amps. Something like a Mooer micro preamp would probably get you somewhere there, but I think what you really want is that individual control out of the bass, middle, and treble controls that are pre-gain, and then the graphic EQ that is post-gain. So, you know, you might be able to get away putting just a graphic EQ in the loop and using the existing controls. That would probably be the cheapest way to do it. If you got something like a Boss EQ200 or a Source Audio EQ, you could use that as a pre-EQ and a post-EQ. So you could cut a bunch of low-end pre-gain, and then you could give it the kind of V-curve post-gain. I would probably say you've got a fantastic amp, just go and get either an EQ or a pair of EQs or a dual EQ and run it that way. If you have something like the Synergy setup, you could get the new 2CP preamp, which I did a video with earlier in the week. Sounds bang on with my Boogie preamp. It's an amazing little thing. You just need the Syn 2 or the Syn 1 to mount it in. And other than that, I don't know, you could probably just not do any of those things and just play Metallica style songs anyway and probably get away with dialing in that particular amp. I guess it's like Marshalls have a character, our Marshall style amps, and you know, a lot of it does come down to like the cathode follower and the way that distorts and super nerdy stuff, and you know, you don't have that kind of stuff in a Boogie style amp. So yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna say. Miasnikov makes a 2C Plus preamp as well. You might want to check those out. Made in Russia, priced very, very well if you can't grab any of the other options. But yeah, it's such a good sound. I absolutely love that sound, and I totally understand why you're chasing it. ever tried a PRS metal pickup? I have not. I would love to try one of those PRS metal guitars, you know, the ones which were kind of painted with the really cool racing stripes. I'm sure a lot of people look at it and go, oh my God, how can you make a PRS even worse? Put racing stripes on it. But I kind of like all the PRS stuff. So yeah, I've never tried one and I have no idea what they're meant to sound like. So if anybody knows what they're meant to sound like, or they can point me to some demos, please let me know in the comment section below. My favorite PRS pickup is still the 245 pickup, which I have in my PRS SC245. They're the stock pickups. And I'm pretty sure that pickup without covers is the same pickup that's in the mirror. And those pickups sound amazing as well. Have I ever done a video featuring the EQ section of the delay block of the Axe-Fx 3? I've done several videos called How I Dial in Delay. You might want to go and check those ones out because I do utilize the EQ section heavily, and other things like diffusion and modulation. I love that delay block so much. It's one of my favorite things ever, and the EQ plays a big part in why I love it so much. There's so much control in there. Speaking of which, how would I run real pedals with the Axe? You know what? I found that drive pedals and fuzz pedals, you can just slam them straight into the front input and they behave pretty well. They sound great. And things like time-based effects, you know, like delays and reverbs, if you're able to run those kill dry, then try a setup where you have a main chain and then you say go out of output 3 into your pedal, set the pedal 100% wet, bring it back in stereo through input 3 and connect that in a parallel row, and then use the input 3 output level to control the amount of effect that you want. So that's how I would do that with, you know, your kind of Strymon style pedals or Mirus or all the Rat Gear demos that you hear. That's normally how I run that. And then drives, I don't even bother putting them in a loop. Unless you want control over them, then, you know, if you want to be able to bring a loop in and out, put them in a loop. They're probably fine. Stick your vintage fuzzers in front of it and make a bunch of noise and have fun. One last one before we go. What was my favorite gear released in 2021? Well, you're all gonna have to wait at least one more day. I am compiling a like gear of the year style video, and hopefully that one will be done by the weekend. It might be the start of next week, but I'm working hard on getting that one done. And rather than just do a kind of lazy, clip from that video and clip from that one, I'm gonna try to shoot new clips with everything. So that should be really, really fun. But I think you all know what my favorite piece of gear has been this year. That's pretty obvious if you follow the channel, but hopefully there will be some little surprises, and hopefully it's a good chance to catch up on some of the demo videos that I've done over the year that you may have missed. So yeah, there will be a Gear of the Year 2021. Of course, let me know in the comments, what was your favorite piece of gear that came out this year that you really want to get? Or what's your favorite piece of gear that you bought this year? Let me know. And I will wish you all a fantastic weekend. And if you're going away or something like that over Christmas, have a fantastic Christmas and a happy new year. Or until I see you next time, just enjoy your time on Earth. I look forward to catching up with you all. Leave a comment if there's a question you would like me to answer on next week's 150th Q&A, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.